Okay,
So-
live up there.
I don't know how fast that's going to sell,
Yeah, you can see.
so I'm hoping it's.
I have,
You never.
how.
Yeah. You're like, well, yeah, every day, something different. Roller coaster. Yeah.
I don't know, I just think.
Get out.
Oh.
They can-
Oh, they're over there. They're. Did you get a fun phone call from New Zealand? Hearing one's on. Gotta be shy. They see how awesome it is.
Every day.
Well, I keep telling her, unless they crash. That's all easy.
I need to do to get things into our office. And then we'll take the rest of the stuff.
For you.
So that way we can have lots in your.
That's so weird.
Figure out shopping center, but she's
I
going.
want to make sure we never bring them over if one is here without. Having the fuel. That's what I prefer.
Better, I just remember all the breeds coming in at one.
I did all the research for the trip.
That moment.
Like, you don't want to do
And
that.
it's everything I could.
Do it.
It's terrible. Everybody was in.
I'm cool. He started. So he's starting to thin out. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, he looks like the national man. You know, like big little rolls, you know what I mean? I always tell him,
That's what Alex, everything I read.
Very healthy.
Stop into the water.
Nice.
Hey, how are you?
You've been so nice.
I know, Jake. I think it's yours. Oh. Yeah.
What?
I keep calendar.
Forget business cards. I'm put it up here. You holding down the team?
Gina's got right.
Have HGO stuff.
Oh, you do.
So I'm gonna make a sign putting in the teacher's lounge at the welcome back. And then I'm gonna put all these candies in a bowl. I'll put the candies like on the candy. board, you
Yeah.
know? Is that cute or is
That
that
is
too much?
adorable.
Okay. Do you think 100 grand is funny or is it like I was just trying to incorporate more. It's cute. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like you're worth 100 grand. But you know.
You can do that too. Cute.
I didn't think about that. Yeah. The mighty doesn't apple salad.
Yeah. And then she'll say, "I'm speaking," and I still eat. Do we have all the cards? Oh, here.
We're in. Cool, cool.
I have a few. What's your favorite? Like the back one where you-
No.
Yeah.
I need to get more information about that. So the team seminar in Mainland, so I'll try and get, yeah. Like, do I need to, I'm assuming. I
Thank you.
need to register.
I'm riding the motorcycle.
It's like,
I have enough trouble sleeping in one day.
Michelle. So I'll look.
yeah.
All right.
Don't forget business cards. Get started soon. You're gonna win your-
Never get to everything. That's what I
Hi, Ryan. If you draw mine, it doesn't count.
Why? What happened?
She's trying to stew the wheel. I do want it back.
There is no no, there is no no.
I get fun.
It's been awesome that I like literally. I so
Are you leaving me in the trenches?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to. Pictures of Dylan and I, but- You got fired.
And I'm. Rachel and Jenny.
Oh my gosh, you didn't have to do that 20
The man in the insurance time and my office. Okay.
Be here more often.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're gonna get started. If you haven't already, Kristen brought some nice shade treats. There's some alcohol over there, coffee.
Yeah, and there's more in the cooler, so. if you don't like what's on the table, take it in the cooler.
All right, we're gonna get started with pledge of allegiance.
I know, I did the same thing.
Yes.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
God bless Gratitude. Pretty good group. So, let's give me 3 pieces of gratitude from you guys. Something good that happened in the last month. Somebody did for you. I'm grateful that I have a kidney donor.
Wow. Yeah.
Everybody can go. I'm not here yesterday and left you.
Yeah. I'm not grateful for Jeremy pissed off clients yesterday. Hey, we have to do it. Get your blood flowing a little bit. I had a good adrenaline rush.
Mediation was even better.
I didn't- That doesn't count, by the way. That's not bad.
He should be paying.
Couple more, anybody?
The 36-12-3 sessions that were going on, I'd like to thank all the people that were teaching the classes. I got a lot out of every one of them.
Here's our one
Thank-
student.
Oh.
Then you set it up, I know, I had Andrea and Karen who was on their agent as well. I don't know what other instructors had, but. I don't know, you might be working. He still juggles another job. But yeah, so after that, we should be scheduling shift for our next in-house training in the next, I'd say, month or so. Anyone else?
Think we'll be healthy.
Yeah.
You hear something like what Dave's going through. Just take everything for granted, it seems like, so just think we'll be healthy.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, I'll end with, I want to thank Edwin and Yaris for being in the office all the time and for their energy, and it's fun to walk back in that corner and hear all the music and hear them chatting, and
We were talking about that.
so it's
Brings
great.
that young energy back in. You guys are, you have that new motivation. You haven't been beaten down by the system yet. Keep that positive. All right, guys, appreciate it. All these birthdays. I mean, I don't want to go through all, of them, but who we having? Lori's in here. She just had a birthday. Who else is in here?
Kristen.
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 on Zoom.
Susan Becker's today, Russell's coming up, Jeff Smith, Katie. Katie's birthday is coming up. Happy birthday, you guys. August anniversary, Susan's up there, Ron, and Aaron. I mean.
3 straight, 19 to 20.
Yeah.
Happy anniversary. Welcome to family. We had a bunch of people last month, come in. We got even more coming in this coming month, but Edwin came from Berkshire. Matthias is actually, an agent from a couple of years ago. He ended up putting his license in escrow. He's back now. Anne's out of York. She's in PC, correct?
Yes.
Yep. Angie, she's also out of York. That's Alberto referral. Yeah, there you are. Chris and Lundy's out of Chambersburg. Bieris. Bieris. And then we have Doug out of Gettysburg, Brian Cook, he's out of Hanover, Casey. She's also a newer agent. She's in PC. She's out of York, and Maria. So welcome those agents. If we have a couple in here, and welcome any of them that you see passing. Gonna take it down a little bit. We lost a agent from our Chambersburg office, Phyllis Bender. She passed away, earlier this month. So I don't know, is there any benefit going on for her, anything that we can get into? Okay. But she was out of Chambersburg. She was with us for quite a while, couple of years.
I just, can I say something?
Yes.
So I just want to say that she was absolutely amazing. I worked with her quite a bit when I would go out to Chambersburg on the tech side of stuff. And she would come with her laptop and she would be able to stick right up with everybody. And I know she was going through chemo and all the different kind of stuff at the time. And that was only like not even 6 weeks ago. So she was an amazing lady. She knew everything and was so kind. So it was really sad to see this.
Yeah. Thank you for.
Did we let Ray know about that?
Yeah, you have to let Ray know,
Oh, you have to let 'em know.
because otherwise.
Well,
nobody
they
knows.
punch it out, but it's good to
Like,
give them. a heads
somebody
up.
needs to tell Ray.
She wasn't, yeah.
I can email.
She was at.
Or you should probably- I'd do it anyway.
It like depends on.
Which, yeah.
She was part of
Is she a member?
Yes.
Okay.
She might have been a second, I don't know.
Yeah, we can see.
She did
Let
the
them
west
figure it
side,
out.
she did the west side of Chambersburg, so I doubt that she was.
Win-win or no deal.
Way to take the initiative.
Angry, do the
Father's
right
Day,
thing,
right?
Yeah.
Customers always come first.
commitment in all things. Win-win or no deal.
We go back to.
Go back.
Maybe we should pay attention. Start all over. No, communication, seek first, understand.
Creativity, ideas before results.
Teamwork, together everyone achieves more. Trust starts with honesty.
Equity opportunities.
Success results through people.
Jeez, Mike. You really
Let's try to
stepping up.
make, after 4 years of being here, like nobody said shit, and then we sit here for like a couple of minutes.
All right, top producers. There's, you guys have been lost in top, hey, I'm gonna put you out of the top producers. Oh, a land for the. I saw that at the store yesterday and I was gonna say it and I let him ride. If he looks too busy looking at what he's doing, I don't wanna bother him.
You should have.
Top producers, so we had a lot of new names on this board, which is always really exciting to see. That means a lot of our people are coming up, they're growing. So going down through individuals, Petula took the top spot again for volume, second month in a row. Madison, she's out of Chambersburg, first time, it's the first time on the board and reaches second at 1.6, that's huge. Tim Fissler, he's back on there. Terry also did 1.2, that's the first time as an individual. And then Roxanne rounded out the top 5 at 1.1. And then team, Liz just did a little over $8 million to take top. Colby Neal, Dave Mansour group, Jeremy Colley and his group here, 2.2. And first time on the board as a team, Nicole and Christy. Here's an exciting one, Alberto.
All I asked was put my photo there. You made me look bald. Now I can show that.
Nothing wrong.
It shows experience. Barbara's gonna get mad.
So Alberto, first month on his own, how long have you been licensed? 6 months. 6 months, did 6 deals, first time on the board, 6 units, that's a lot to go. In your first
That's
year.
because of all you guys, I bug you through social media, but at the end of the day, I love you guys and I support you guys, first generation, trying to build diversification here. It's working. I'm bringing new people, everyone there, guys, and I'm very fortunate to be part of Keller Williams. So thanks.
Madison takes that 5, Tim, Petula, and then Terry rounds out the individuals, and then teams, Liz, 39 units, Colby and Neal for 20 mark. Dave and Jeremy tied at 8, and Nicole and Chris at 7, so good job to you guys. Larry, I guess you're taking your stuff back.
He volunteers, yes.
Yeah. The only guy, I thought Julie was coming.
She's online, she's on Zoom.
You guys pass that back. All right. Cappers, congratulations to Tim and Sandy. They both capped, they are now at 100% until the anniversary year, 100% commission. Again, for those that don't know what capping is, it's when you reach the maximum amount of company dollar paid to Keller Williams, which is $18,000 as an individual. And then beyond that, until your next anniversary year, you get 100% of your commission check. Some do it in a couple months, some take a few months, and then some get close to their year, but getting 100% is pretty neat when you can look at that settlement statement and see the 2 KW, but that's all yours. That'll be in that. Do you want to go over this, Tina? You know what this is? I don't-
Yeah,
Oh,
so,
yeah, updated agreements.
new forms were released on July 1st. And hopefully y'all have noticed the new forms. Primarily, just read over what Peter has put here in the updated information. And would encourage all of you to attend the PAR meetings because you can actually sit in on the forms committee. And it is a sort of a sick experience to watch how our forms are addended, changed, managed. So if you think you have a good idea for a form, come and put your voice in. So.
And we'll get all this out if we haven't already, so you guys are, but I've noticed that, I think you just got a deal the other day. You typically notice whenever like something changes where it typically is located in the agreement of sale. Be a change. Bowl-a-thon, so this is a couple RAC events coming up, but Bowl-a-thon is actually next week at Suburban from 6 to 8. KW is going to sponsor 2 teams. You guys are committed. Yes. Alberta, are you in?
I didn't sign the waiver bill.
I need 10 people, so
I consent, I'll do it.
if you guys are interested, see Rachel, Megan, they'll take the names down. Need at least 10 people, and if you guys can sub out, like someone's there for an hour and then you gotta go. Somebody else can show up. too.
Costumes are encouraged. They are giving prizes for the best costumes. This year's theme is sports. So you can come dressed representing your favorite sports team.
I thought like it was just open, like I could dress as fire staring.
Do that too.
Might have to slim down a little bit.
And then the cornhole is coming up. That'll be fun. Homeless outreach, please put that on your calendars. We'd really like to see a good KW turnout. We haven't been able to really hold this event in the last 2 years because of COVID and issues with that, but I will continue to get you more information about it, but it's a really good way. Think of it as like Red Day. I think you would call it.
Yeah, I think we're gonna push it more like a Red Day 2.0 type of deal. See if we can get a bunch of us out there, wear shirts again, just give back to the community. As Tina was telling us earlier, this hasn't been done in a couple of years and they're always very short on volunteers. So anybody that's
Spanish speakers and guys are highly recommended and encouraged to come because we need both.
And then our annual Red Act meeting, which takes place in October already. It seems like that just happened, but we had a really good showing last year. I think we had 3 full tables, and our agents won a lot of the prizes. So encourage everybody to show up if you're able to. Fall paint night. Kristen, you want to go over this?
Yeah, we are going to do fall paint night. We're thinking that the max in the kitchen area is gonna be 20. We're gonna do $40 an agent, everything supplied, the canvas, the paint. It will be taught by the lady who owns Teal Art Studio. I think Mindy can vouch that she is a good teacher and painter. We're gonna have snacks and some refreshments, but if you want to bring something else, you're welcome to. It's gonna be from 6 to 8, and we are asking that you buy tickets in advance so that we can make sure that your spot is secured. So Rachel and or Dave will have the tickets for that.
Dave, are you gonna be there?
$40.
Fireson just said he was coming.
Oh, 100%,
bro, it's on the calendar.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, not that. Dave.
Andre Big Casa.
That day.
So if you're interested in that, it's gonna be held here, or like she said, over in the kitchen. And you have to register to get your name. So upcoming events that we have, Career Vision with Gene Rivers, that is up in Harrisburg. That's the one in Harrisburg.
Nobody knows who's.
Okay, so Harrisburg's Market Center is holding that. Gene Rivers is coming in. Career Visioning, if you guys have taken the KPA, it's just a thorough in-depth review of the KPA. Mega Agent Camp is next week. So if you're not going to Austin, there's only a few of us going. We are gonna have a watch party here and on the TVs in this room.
I think the Gene Rivers thing is tomorrow in Harrisburg.
It is. It is. You are correct. I have the wrong date.
So
That's okay.
change your schedules, go tomorrow. 9 o'clock. Yeah, so thank you. So Mega Agent Camp, again, we will have a watch party. The Tech and Education Group has put on, they're gonna feed you caffeine you with coffee, BYOB if you want, I don't care, I won't be here. I think, and then they're gonna as well. Deal Talk, that's every Thursday. This is just a way for you guys to get together and vent essentially about your deals. Or ask for basically some suggestions, solutions. We're starting to get into that shift where you're seeing more contingencies put in place. Some of you might not have even negotiated out an inspection before, so like how to get through those problems. Here in the office, every Thursday from 11 to 12. All of every other Thursday. The Bowl-a-thon, we just talked about color real estate, that's from 3 to 4:30. That's around our diversity growth, as a market center, as a company. Leadership Academy, this is a new program that the region is putting on. And it's for people that are interested in leadership opportunities. So anything like a OPTL, MCA, maybe even into mass coaching, regional stuff. Leadership Academy is going to teach you all that inside and out, what those roles consist of, how you get involved in them. And that's a new one. That's a mainline market center. I don't have a ton of information. It's relatively new to put it together, but we will be sharing that here shortly as we get more links to it. Provisioning and is also then going to Pittsburgh. So if you guys want to visit Pittsburgh, you can also go there. 30, 60, 90 class on just again processes around hiring, putting 30, 60, 90 benchmarks involved into growing success through others is also part of that. Market Center financials. This is something that comes in around the fall as well. This is just again, if you're interested in learning the financials of how the company runs, we are a very open book. With this digit ins and out, right? Why do we transmit every month like this? That's kind of what we're doing, closing the book so we can share the profit with you guys. And then lastly, and Mindy, I'll call you because I think you do this every year. Business Planning Quick with Gene Rivers every year during that time.
Yep, I was just gonna ask, can we check that date? Because Paula Hoffman and I were having a conversation about our shepherds. And I asked her when Jean was coming back for that, and I think she said the 13th, but it is the 13th. Okay, but Gene Rivers is a fantastic instructor. I don't care if you're first year realtor here or you're in your 20th year. You need to go see Gene and do your business planning clinic. It's a fantastic full day. So are we at Great Valley? He has 10 State Great Valley, a nice desk and
Yeah. That's what we got in the next 60 days.
we could probably do a carpool for that if people wanted to.
I know Harrisburg does buses a lot, but
Yeah.
we would need to be able to fill a bus. So I'm open to that as well. Again, we share this, we have in-house title now with Hometown Real Estate Settlement. And Amanda's sitting there in the back. So if you're interested in doing title where you can walk right down the hallway and see your closer, Amanda is here pretty much every day. Task forces, we have ALC meeting before we meet every office meeting, but these are the task forces that are involved with the growth, the productivity, the culture of our office. Again, I can't do it all alone, so I ask for leadership to step up. We always get volunteers every year. They do a fantastic job, but they also need help in creating their task force for force growth. Sorry, I can't talk. So these are the four. This is when they meet, and if you have any input that you would like to see happen from the market center, jump into one of these groups and give them your feedback. Cool, real estate, we're crushing it with this right now. I don't know what happened in the last 60 days. What are we up to?
We're over 100.
130, almost at 120, yeah, so, free real estate school backed by Kaplan, we just get them in touch with Greg and I. And we can get them set up, it's very easy, they get their courses, 75 hours, they go through the process. Get all their transcripts and get set up for their state and national, but, yeah, we're really tracking forward on this one. A lot of online inquiries and just overall, people just hearing about it. Alberta's probably sent us 20 in the last 7 days, so going that up.
And Ryan, again, if they ever want to know, if you guys ever want to know how far the person you sent to us is through the classes, we can look that up for you. So if you ever want to know, you send us somebody and you're curious where they are with it, we can easily look it up for you. But I will say that a lot of them that you have sent to us, they haven't even
Yeah.
opened their link yet.
We
To get
we figured,
started.
and it's we're gonna have to create a follow-up process, and it's gonna be a little bit of babysitting, but we figured there wouldn't be a high success rate out of it, just because, I mean, that's where it starts. I mean, if you can't even get through that, you're gonna have a hard time working for yourself as an agent, but it's still there. I mean, it doesn't cost us anything. We send as many as we can out. So if you have anyone interested in real estate school, please send them our way. We have 2 speakers. Obviously, Andy's gonna come up with some great knowledge of mortgages, and then after that, Chrissy's here for insurance, and then we'll do our giveaways.
What's up, everybody? I'm gonna try to keep it short and sweet, just to give her a little bit more time. You can like kind of see the markets changing in the applications we're seeing now. You know, I think if you roll back the clock like 12 months ago, like everybody was super duper qualified, like lots of cash. You know, lots of conventional financing, lots of easy stuff, and we're definitely starting to see the shift towards, you know, those non-traditional products that haven't been a part of the marketplace for the last 3 years, you know, as heavily, like USDA loans, PHFA loans, and different bond programs to help people with down payment assistance. You know, the word seller helps coming up again, which is kind of an anomaly, you know? And I think like, you know, the one thing I've noticed is we're seeing like a lot of like leads turned over to us, like, hey, this deal's flopping. You know, like, I don't know what's going on, and whether you're representing a seller or a buyer, but can you bail me out? Can you help me out with this deal, right? So, you know, like, I would probably, like, one recommendation I would take and just kind of give everybody is, you know, if you're working with a buyer and you're unfamiliar with that lender or lending institution, you know, like, make sure you have like a good screening process for that lender and that approval. And just like, you know, even if it's 5-6 questions, they may even have stuff that they train through some of this, you know, the training that you guys do now, you know, just asking them like, you know, what's been verified. These programs like USDA and PHFA, while they're great vehicles to get people in homes, like the agencies like USDA and Pennsylvania Housing Finance and different bond programs, they have like 3 times the amount of criteria and boxes that you have to fit into to be eligible for those loan types. So, you know, if a buyer comes in and they've, you know, been pre-approved for a Pennsylvania bond loan and they've not even provided like a pay stub or a W-2, like that's a gigantic red flag. Those programs, I mean, they all have income and asset restrictions from like an eligibility standpoint, meaning if you make too much money, you won't qualify for them. If there's too many members in the household, you know, you may not meet the income restriction, you know, and there could be things like, you know, like someone's living in the household and contributing monthly on a bank statement to something where like, because that lender hasn't gotten that bank statement, they haven't looked at the details. Those products and programs, the devil is truly in the details with those. We really work hard to try to like get all the documents and evaluate. So I would just, you know, make sure that you have a good screening process and ask the lenders like, or even the client, like, what all has the lender asked you for? What have they provided to you? You know, and just make sure that those offers are good and sound, because we're seeing like, and I think it's because it was like easy street for the last 2-3 years for everybody. Like you're writing offers, they're conventional, most of them were cash or FHA. Like, not that FHA is not you know, a tougher loan type, but it's not, the standards that are on these programs, like a standardized FHA loan, they want like W-2s, pay stubs, and employment verification. For like a bond program, they want tax transcripts. Sometimes for 3 years, which means we have to send a document to the IRS to get copies of their transcripts. They want the W-2s, they want the pay stubs, they want employment verifications, and sometimes, depending upon if it has an income limit, they want employment verification for everyone in the household. So like, you're talking about like, the list is like this short on those programs versus like this long. So, you know, if they haven't done their job, like really like looking at those documents, you're gonna run into issues. Not to mention, a lot of those products or programs, they have geographic restrictions, which if you're not familiar with them because you've entered the business the last few years, it could be a good time to sit down with somebody like myself and just kind of take a refresher on like what you can and what you can't do, just so you have like a full-blown understanding, just because it can be a little daunting. Again, the devil's in the details. We've just seen an uptick in it. So I would just make sure you have like a really tight lead screening process, you know, not only for the client, but just kind of like if they're working with an unfamiliar lender, just kind of vetting what that person has and has stuff. Okay. So if you guys have questions, want to reach out, we're happy to help you with them. Okay. Thank you.
I was just gonna say, I had something happen last night, so my buyer is approved through movement.
Yeah.
With Pam, and she called me, she said, now I noticed I have to give all my information and whatever, I already did that today. Rocket Mortgage, they're affiliated with Movement, right? And I said, absolutely not. She said, good God, I gave this guy all my socials,
Oh, yeah.
all this
Yeah.
stuff. And so apparently Rocket Mortgage is buying lists of people
So
that,
I'll address that. So when, a lot of people don't know this, but when we run a credit report right now, the credit bureaus, and this is something that they have always done, but they turn around and they sell a list out of name, phone number, email of the client to lenders. Okay, and then lenders are turning around, putting them on a dialer system, calling them and saying, hey, I'm working on your pre-approval. I need you to send me X, Y, and Z real quick. And the consumer doesn't know, so they're just like, I got a call from Johnny, they didn't announce the company, and then they send all their contact information, and then all their documents, so. Most people don't know, like, if you're not on the do not call list, that's like our thing, and, you know, it's really been like a strong uptick, because what's happened is rates have gone up, so when rates were low, a lot of these lending institutions hired a lot of people, right? To facilitate churning their existing client database that's on their servicing lines, right? They wanted to be able to refinance those rates for their clients. When rates rise, they laid off a good portion of those people. But the ones who are hungry and wanted to stay in, they're looking at alternative sources to try to develop relationships, make deals. I mean, I'm sure everybody in this room is probably getting hit up by lenders like constantly right now. It's like a little bit of a bloodbath with that, because I think everybody's kind of feeling the pain and they're like, oh my God, what are we gonna do to generate business? So like, that's what they call a trigger lead, and the credit bureaus sell them directly. Like, it's a major
and it's a
problem.
scarcity thing, and my people are savvy professionals, and they couldn't believe that they were slammed like that. Of
It's
course,
like
I
a
called
it's
Rocket.
manipulation.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, ma'am, but you know, a consumer is free to shop with any lender, and I said, they certainly are. However, the way you went about it is predatory, and I
Yep.
don't like it. Don't ever call my people again.
Yeah, and I think
So-
honestly, that's probably the best thing you can say. You mentioned those type of words and people can run. So,
Yeah, so just warn your applicants, your people.
yeah.
your buyers.
Yeah, this market shifts and a lot of things change real quick. It's like, try to stay ahead of it, right?
Thank you. And Chris, I think you're next. You are.
Okay.
Just at the air, it's a little touchy.
All right. So, very exciting. Topic of insurance needs a little something extra, so. We have footballs because it is in this fall for. People who participate. And. Well, anyway, okay, so.
insurance is what we're gonna talk about today. It's a really scary topic. I'm gonna try to make it not so scary and just bring up some of the pitfalls and things that you should be aware of or be doing and trying to help mitigate problems and claims. And it's pretty simple. I think everybody knows what E&O is. But here we go. Okay, so who wants to read that? So E&O protects and defends you if you're accused of making a mistake that causes someone to lose money, and that is professional, right? Your professional actions and what you do and in what you don't do. So why do you need it? You need it if you're accused of negligence or failing to uphold your contractual obligations agreements. Everybody, we're all making business decisions on behalf of our client all the time. Stupidity and mistakes, I say, are covered. Accidents happen, and that's kind of across the board in insurance. If, unfortunately, human error is the #1 cause of claims in insurance, but intentional fraud and illegal acts are not covered. And that can be a fine line sometimes. So, again, professional negligence, it will pay for your legal defense for costs, your attorney fees, court costs, and legal judgments. If you have to pay out somebody, $500,000, that can be covered under your E&O insurance. Okay, so there is sound, but it's not for some reason translated. This is where we're gonna play fireball or fiction. So you have to raise your hand, but, okay.
Fiction.
Yeah, if someone shares a combo code, in a burglary occurs, my E&O insurance will cover the damages. So that is true. The Century lock boxes are definitely more expensive, but they're much more secure because agents have their code, right? When you go in, who's going into that house, when they were in there, when the key goes back in, when it's locked, everything is time stamped. They are more expensive. I really recommend those because then you can tell who was in there when the crime happened and there's someone to pin the liability to. Otherwise, that liability falls back on you as the agent. You hand that code out in good faith to the owner because they're locked out. Well, then, hey, they give it to their neighbor because their kid can't come home to let the dog out. And this thing can really snowball. So this is one thing that more and more people are using combo boxes. So just really be mindful. I recommend after you're under a ratified agreement, take that key out. If nobody's going to be going over to the house, just stop by the house and remove the chances of something going wrong. Just be thoughtful. Yeah.
I think I was at one of the attorney updates of Stock and Leader, and they said that even if you put a combo lockbox on there and you haven't asked your clients if they want the Century or the combo lockbox, you can be, if it's a combo, you can be held liable.
Yeah, there's a huge exposure. I'm surprised we haven't seen
So
it more. So again, I know the combo boxes are more affordable, but you really pay for what you get sometimes.
It's
And
the security of your sellers. I had a listing last week and we had like 30 some showings in the first 24 hours. And an agent texted me at 9 a.m. on the second day and said, hey, there's no key in the lockbox. And it was a central lock. And at the same exact time she texted me, I got a text message, a phone call, and an email from Central Lock saying that the agent had reported there's no key in the lockbox. And the last agent who showed it the night before was such and such with this brokerage, with this phone number. And I reached out to him and I said, you were the last person who was scheduled to show the property last night at whatever time. And he goes, oh, after my showing, there was some lady in a blue car and I gave her the key.
Sure.
And y'all know I wear name tags. I said, so was she an agent? Was she wearing a name tag? Did she have any like brokerage logo stuff on her? No, she was just in a blue car, or it could have been an SUV. And I'm like, really? And so, yeah, it's serious. My sellers have already moved to Iowa. The house was locked and we had no way to get in.
And just it's
Yeah.
great here for participating. And who said about Peter Group?
Katie.
Katie, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
And if it
just
would have been a combo, like, we would have been like screwed, like, I would have no way of knowing.
And to piggyback on that, in the state of Pennsylvania, if you're found 1% negligent, you can be held to civil law and go to court and be responsible for making payment. So because that gentleman was involved and admitted that he did something, that could ultimately, he could be pulled into that too, which was good, and you might not realize, so, yeah, you really want to be clear there. Okay, common E&O claims, withholding property defects, you're doing no favors to anybody, everybody knows this, new agents especially, really important. Structural damage is really important that, when you give the seller disclosure out, that you also review it. You might have had a conversation with that seller at some point where they shared something, and hey, it's not on the disclosure. They forget, again, human error, mistakes, you know, they're filling it out, it might have been an honest mistake, but please do review those. Don't think just because we don't put ink to paper, it doesn't mean that we don't have some responsibility there. Zoning and boundary inaccuracies. I say it later, but be sure you know what you're talking about when you're speaking about where boundaries and what zoning are. Don't always believe a past listing and what a past listing said. I think that happens a lot in undisclosed health hazards. You know, your asbestos, siding, you know, your pipes wrapped in the basement. Radon is huge. Inspections have been waived on radon. That's a huge, exposure. So please get your client, have it in writing, send them an email, explain why they should do it. Let them decide not to, but protect yourself and share the importance of doing it. Misrepresenting floods and leaks, you know, we all have had water issues rampant around this area in South Central PA. So again, be sure those are disclosed. Everybody knows if it's on the disclosure, you're protected. If it's not on the disclosure, you're not protected. Inaccurate valuations, when we do our CMAs, you know, be sure you're showing good, accurate CMAs. And I'm not sure what that's.
Inaccurate measurement.
Inaccurate measurements. Some people like to push the bar a little bit. I think when they do those room measurements, be sure we're really giving accurate measurements when we're showing property.
I have a question about withholding property defects.
Yes.
If it was not something they experienced, like let's say they bought the house like 3 years ago, it was on the seller's disclosure that they received. But it wasn't a flood or anything that they experienced while they lived in the house. Do they have to disclose?
Was it inspected when they bought and they didn't inspect it? So there was nothing to.
No, it was just on they did a home inspection and everything. They bought the house 3 years ago. It was on that seller's property disclosure. But in the 3 years they owned the house, they didn't experience a flood or any leakage or anything like that. So my question is, do you have to disclose the previous seller's property disclosure?
Okay, great point for me to bring up. We are not attorneys. We don't give legal advice.
And that's what the PAR
Yes.
legal hotline is for, and the RAD hotline.
An area where, you know, I have a belief on it, but I'm not gonna vocalize it because I just think, you know, it's something that.
That's
I'm
what your dues
crossing-
pay for.
I'm crossing the attorney, kind of, that's an attorney question, so, you know, Peter Root, everybody, anybody? Yeah, but again, failure to inform of being a dual agent, you have to be clear. Everybody knows the consumer notices. I have it on the bottom of my email. Whenever I email somebody, it's right there. I really recommend doing that just as an extra layer, but everybody knows if you're showing a property, if you're having those sensitive conversations, be sure you're doing your notices. Appraisal errors that produce inaccurate evaluations. Yeah, same thing. We talked about the CMEs a little bit. And when those appraisals come back, how many people actually look at the appraisals they get on one of their properties before they go to settlement to be sure all the numbers, the statistics, right amount of bedrooms, bathrooms, nothing was missed. You know, again, let's take the time to do your job. That's what that means. Really, you're going over and above, but that's what we do, right? We're excellent in service. And just breach of contracts, making sure we're hitting our deadlines, right, throughout the contract. We know what they are. We're communicating clearly with our clients of what's expected by when, and everything is very clear. I think a lot of times, you know, we know the contracts very well and we sit down with people and some of our clients just trust us and we do the old point and sign, initial and sign. And it's really, really important that we take the time. They know we're going to need an hour to go over this and we take the time to be sure they understand what that contract means and what their duties and our duties are, right? Common. Claims and notes, yeah, listing description, exaggerating white lies, I mean, there's a comic, so kind of. Okay, I can't hear Pitbull, but Pitbull is playing right now. on my phone. So, alcohol addiction. At an open house, someone falls and sustains an injury due to a spilled drink, because we also have alcohol. I guess it doesn't feel. This is covered by E&O. Raise your hand, fact or fiction.
I say fiction.
I said,
Okay, so I know you probably won't drink this, but.
Might be a
Yes,
rough
that's
day tomorrow.
exactly. Bodily injury is not covered under E&O. So if someone sustains bodily injury from a slip and fall, no coverage on your E&O insurance. So be sure when you do an open house, you take that safety walk around the house too, be sure everything looks tidy and clean, and if there's something that might cause someone harm.
back on the homeowners?
So it could, I mean, in a litigious society, they're gonna sue everybody, so. Yes, the homeowner brought them on the property, but they might say, hey, you were the one responsible for watching that, and if you caused, it was your fault that drink, we had a thing of ice that had condensation that was spilling onto the floor. How's the homeowner liable? So the homeowner's insurance would probably deny the claim, and then it would come back on to you, so you really wanna tune in and pay attention on.
So then you should have some kind of rider.
Yeah, so that would be a general liability fund. Again, I don't want to scare anybody, but yeah, that would go to general liability. So if you cause. Well, but so technically the homeowner it may go back to homeowner's policy because they did, okay, and that's where coverage would be, but it gets scary after that, so. Not acting in your client's best interest, yes, we're here to make money, but that's not the first priority, right? We all knew the Keller Williams code we just read off. So holding back info on price negotiations, which are becoming less and less, but receiving extra commissions or undisclosed profits, be very careful when it comes to that. Breaking client confidence, we are an extension of their voice, and that needs to stay paramount. Professionalism. And answering with a guess, always get your facts, always be sure, never guess. I know nobody wants to sound like they don't know what they're talking about. Everybody wants to sound competent and well-informed, but it's not the time to be guessing at anything. We really want to be sure there's those questions. Advice and guidance, same thing. Keep written records and follow up with emails. Documentation is like the Bible, you have a conversation. I know any changes we put in writing and we have them signed, but if there's a significant conversation or even something we might think is not significant, definitely document those conversations, make notes. And stay away from tax or legal advice, which we already talked about, right? Okay, everybody, we've been through these classes, Fair Housing Act, no discrimination, that's in the no exposure, race, color, gender, disability, familial status, national origin, religion, sexual orientation, and whatever is covered on the and not revealing defects in an open house. Again, we have copies of seller disclosures in open houses where we're not hiding anything. We're selling an accurate product that's well described. Okay, fireball. You leave an open house and stop at Home Depot on the way home to pick up supplies for a home project. You quickly rush to the checkout and you ram into a toddler. Parents do you for the doctor bills and pain and suffering, so they have to stay home from work, care for the child, lost income, blah, blah, blah. This is covered under E&O insurance.
Fiction.
Fiction. That is, ready? Okay, so where is that coverage come from? Anybody?
Your personal insurance.
Car insurance.
Personal insurance.
Yeah.
Which one?
We run it with the car.
We had-
Is that what we-
Property.
You answered this, so I can do both. Who, shout out? Did you shout it out? What did you? No, not the store, but you can have a ball. Anybody else? No, not car. Car insurance.
Part insurance.
Anybody else? Forget, there's not that many other personal insurance.
Have to do personal liability.
Health liability.
Where is that? Homeowners, there we go. Yes, yes. So a lot of people don't realize this, but your homeowner's policy carries liability insurance. When you go home today, everybody look, what is your personal liability limit on your homeowner's policy? Everybody likes to see, this could be on a golf course hitting someone with a golf ball, at a dog park, your dog bites somebody. This is all your personal liability. And anywhere you go on vacation, that follows you, that covers you, and protects you for accidents, you know, again, mistakes. So please be sure that liability premium is very low. The premium you pay for is the property. So be sure you have $500,000. I mean, I really recommend that. And you'll see it's probably $20 difference for 200,000. It's minimal. Well worth it. How many, claims missing a deadline, please remember to communicate. You constantly call the other party and be sure they know your mortgage commitment's due on Friday. We're want to be sure everything's on point. We have to be sure we're really watching this. Taking someone else's word. I've said this numerous times. Don't assume anything. Go to the source. Be sure your information is accurate. And remember, I think most of us are actually realtors in here, so we have an ethical standard that we abide by. Where's that firewall? Loss control. Okay. So the things we can and should be doing, organize your file. Be sure we're interviewing clients thoroughly. We understand what they're looking for. We're not making assumptions. We're diarying all of our activity. Changes, of course, are in writing, but we're verbally, they e-sign things. We're just communicating thoroughly. Explaining contract terms, be flexible regarding commissions. You want to be careful with restraining trade, that we have fair competition, resolve problems well before closings. Always think ahead what can go wrong and try to mitigate those problems. Involving key professionals. I've said it several times, we're not a lawyer, surveyor, a lender, inspector, appraiser. So bring those people in when it comes time for those professional duties. And remember the consumer notice. Fireball, all right. Okay. A tenant knowingly smoking is illegal for the rental agreement, comes home from a wild night out, and falls asleep with a cigarette in bed, causing a whole house fire and 80% loss to the structure. Because smoking was illegal as a landlord to your rental agreement to the tenant, you as a landlord are not liable as a landlord. And I know this isn't, but we're realtors. A lot of people have rental properties. You're so You're so thirsty. So, you actually are, you are liable. So if you don't require tenant insurance from your tenants, when you go home today, change that contract. You have authority to change that contract for the betterment of both of you at any time. That is not, who cares about their personal possessions? You care about what happens to your credit score when they have a claim on your property and you have to file it under your insurance for their negligence. You pay for their stupidity and negligence, or what I'm not to say stupid, but that's, their human error. You as a landlord pay for that. So please, please, please get your clients, even if you say it costs them $100 a year for $500,000 in coverage, take $10 off a month of their rent and pay for it. It just is the best protection you can give yourself as a landlord. So please, please make them list you as an additional insured. So for some reason they don't pay, you get that notice that says their policy is expired. They don't have that insurance anymore, because you're protecting. You have an insurance credit score, just like you have a fiscal credit score, and you really, really want to protect that.
What is that policy called?
A renter's policy. Yeah. So everybody thinks a renter's policy just covers their possessions. And really the number one thing on that is personal liability. It's their personal liability. And if they cause property damage or bodily injury to somebody else, that's where they get the coverage. So, and it also pays for them if they do burn the house down and they're at fault. it gives them money to live elsewhere. It's not the landlord's responsibility to find some other place for that tenant to live. And that policy, so to me, they're the two most important things. Third is their personal possession. Okay, so thank you. Questions? Yes.
This might be actually for Ryan, because we have an in-house title company now. Do we have an office affiliated business disclosure that we need our
Yes, we
buyers?
will have that. So
Okay,
if you
'cause
have, do you have a deal?
I'm delinquent on 2 because I sent 2 over.
There should have been one already because Will's been doing it for.
We have a form.
We
Yeah, I
have
was
an
gonna say,
office form.
yeah.
The car has a form, but I didn't know.
Yeah, we have an office. one.
Okay, if I can get a copy of that, because it's not in my stuff.
Okay, yeah, we'll be sure. to do that.
The affiliated business agreement.
Anybody else? I
Mini.
know that question wasn't for me, so. And the only other thing I wanted to say, there might have been 2 other quick things, but, yeah. Failure to correctly explain the contract, please remember that. Did anybody learn anything in ENO that they didn't know today for a football? I think that's okay, so maybe you all felt pretty well versed. And the only other thing I'm gonna say right now that's, I hope this is okay. But if you have a 401k sitting somewhere, something that a lot of people are doing is rolling them into lifetime payout annuities. And I just want to say, a quick example is at 45, if you roll $100,000 into an annuity, you get a 30% bonus day 1. And when you pull that money out at retirement age, the first year you get $60,000, and by year 10, you're at $140,000 a year in income. So as self-employed people, we don't often think about retirement measures and things we can be doing to plan for our futures. I know we can all be realtors forever and ever and ever, and that's the plan, but I would just encourage you all to think about the future too. So, okay. And I have football, so if anybody wants one, they leave, you can grab one. And cookies and pastries and.
Thank you. Got the drawings. Give me signal if you can put your card in, do it. 2 sheets, gift cards, and transaction fee and monthly. No books this month. I am gonna get him back in the fall. There was, everyone liked him. What's Colin. Colin's gonna come back. A lot of you guys were on vacation or women's basketball was taking place. So we're gonna bring him back in.
He actually responded. I texted him, like I followed up with this.
Yeah, Andrew, we listened to the book with audio and said it was awesome. All right. Someone's cheating and bending their card.
You called Dave Potts, his name, never coming to a meeting, and his.
He's only here back.
Lindsay.
I have a really big foot sticker on it.
I got another book.
No, I'm not coming.
Now I can retire. I'm off the committee.
That card's not valid.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
That's the Acardo name on it. Come on, Michael.
All I had in my office.
So close.
Wow. What is that? It's so thick in there, just kidding.
You had my card, I didn't say it. Put it back in.
Why would you grab it? All right, Michael. It felt like Cottle's card.
Think,
Next month. no.
And Matt Mead. All righty. That's it, so.
No, I have not. I have seen.
Oh, you have more. Here, you can walk around.
Okay.
And you gotta follow.
I think Tina.
Tina and Lindsay, I think, is this winner.
Right.
Oh, I can't.
Yes.
Bro. You got the
See, it pays
mozzarella sticks. You got the mozzarella sticks. Gators luck.
Alberta will be at lunch with the so she.
Happy Vaughn.
Kathy Vaughn.
She's on Zoom.
Congratulations.
Congrats, Kathy.
Great.
That's it. All right, guys.
November 21st.
Either way.
She's not in here, so just you might.
Good game.
Stick around for lunch. We'll be back in the kitchen.
Oh, yeah, sure. Hey, Doc. How you doing? What are you trying to do? Drive?
We don't have to.
Nicholas needs.
Right, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Like another worker.
Yeah.
We haven't had a time.
I ordered them about yeah, and I'm just waiting.
Yeah. When people are like. My friends. But I think people remember,
Yeah,
I can show you.
Other way.
Yes.
She would have some of those.
You know what it's like, before, it must be like.
Yeah.
Just got here 2 days ago. He had the house on 15. Wow. And I didn't, I knew I would get it. Yeah. Every. I need. I'm gonna try to get here.
My wife were with my parents last week and they love to go with my dad to the barber shop. They already cider. Like their piece of they do. And I did take my goddaughter on Friday.
Yeah.
Well, it's different. I mean, I don't even be happy with my but I can always put it out. But I can pull out the same ones their mom pulled out and. Or he's like, look at the normal version, you know, and I'll be like, hey, try this on. And they're just like, trying to save up. And she's like, I'm sorry, and it's the same with my, I did stuff
And really shopping in ways is worse. I thought shopping with too much daughter was horrendous and horrible, but shopping with a teenage boy, but then the one shop.
Well,
I look at it.
I don't get any like,
You don't get mad.
I don't get